Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up Podcast, Week 7 in the books in the National Football League. So we're bringing you our Players of the Week, 2 E's, and our Players of the Week, EA. So our studs and our duds, essentially. This is the Drafted Up Podcast. You know where to find us. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts, will be there. Search Drafted Up Podcasts, like, rate, subscribe, review, share, all that good stuff. That's Nick. I'm Theo. How you doing today?
A lot better than I was after that Giants loss, I can tell you that much, and the Hurricanes lost. But besides it being my birthday on Sunday, it was a miserable week sports-wise, but really good weekend real-life-wise, so thankfully, I had that keeping me going because, my God, my football team's absolutely shit the bed this week, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. The Golden Gophers did wonderful.
Congratulations.
They were the one Minnesota team to show up. The Vikings, jiggity-jagged against the Eagles. I'm standing by that. I'm not one to throw out conspiracy theories, but...
Coming in hot, though, right off the bat. I don't know about that, brother. He's like,
I don't think the Vikings should have lost that game. I think they got... There was a ton of stuff that went wrong there.
It happens.
So college stuff, I'm going to put out a nice little After Dark episode on Wednesday. I'll dive into some college stuff, prospect spotlights, game balls, all that good stuff. So stay tuned for that. So you get a nice 3 episodes here this week for the show. So we're just going to dive right into our Players of the Week. Yeah. No, I guess we can talk the devastating injury news as the injury bug continues to hit.
We might as well talk a little bit of the news.
Less serious for fantasy. Kendre Miller's out for the year. He tore his ACL, which of course would happen when they were playing Dennis Allen and the Chicago Bears.
It couldn't have happened at a worse time.
Yeah,
for
Dennis
sure.
Allen's just like, I knew it. That guy's trash.
Yeah, and I hate that guy. So any moment where Dennis Allen can be happy, I am sad. And to see Kendre Miller actually doing stuff this season on the field, most he's ever been in his career. So it sucks for him that he landed on the IR now, and it's going to be a tough recovery back, dude. He's got a long road ahead of him.
Yeah, for sure. Nico Collins, he got a concussion, so his week this week's in jeopardy. Off the short week, Monday to Sunday. They play San Francisco here, week 8. And the streak is over. The Mike Evans 1,000-yard streak is in the books. He broke his clavicle. He's also got a concussion. He is going to miss the majority of the rest of the year. He may be back in December, but I don't think he'll be able to get to 1,000 yards in those 2 or 3 games he might play this year. But for Tampa,
it's not going to happen.
They should have him for a playoff run. So real life purposes, that is at least a positive for them, as the injury bug just has been eating them up, as Chris Godwin's still week to week. Mecca Ibuka played on Monday, which was a surprise.
Somehow was out there. Insane.
Wasn't great, but you can't expect him to miss next week. And, Bucky Irving should be back if he's not back this week, they have a bye. I imagine he is back after the bye. So hopefully Tampa can get healthy. They're a really good football team that's just kind of been bitten by the injury bug this year.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a lot for Tampa Bay, and hopefully they're able to bounce back after the bye. They definitely need that extra week off. Bucky needs to come back healthy. They need Godwin out there. Hopefully Mike Evans is back come playoff time. I expect him not to play at all the regular season. If anything, he'll be back for the playoffs. But yeah, man, they got a tough stretch coming up with these injuries. So, hey, man, if Baker's able to make it through this, that solidifies his MVP run. So,
yeah. Any other injuries?
I think that covers most of the injuries. The Giants cut that terrible, terrible kicker, so I'm thrilled about that. We love that news coming out of New York.
Darren Waller's week to week in Miami. He's got
with a pec injury.
Yeah, so he's probably going to miss some time as well.
Yeah, not fantasy related, but Ray McLeod from Atlanta got cut. Tyler Lockett also asked for his early, so Tyler Lockett's going to hopefully sign with a Super Bowl contender and chase a ring, hopefully. We'll see what happens.
We'll see if anybody throws their hat in the ring. Maybe he just ends up back in Seattle as a depth piece there.
Makes sense to me. And they're good, so they might make a run. They have the chance to. So gets him back home, gives them an opportunity to get a ring at least.
He'll sign with Christian McCaffrey because he'll continue to siphon life from the receiving
he needs all
room.
the help he can get.
And let's just bring in Tyler Lockett. All right. Quarterback plays of the week. I think we're good to move on, yeah?
Yeah. That touches news.
Yeah, so quarterback plays of the week. How about Bo Nix? 79 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 48 yards rushing, another 2 touchdowns. All those touchdowns in the fourth quarter as Nick has to relive that moment there.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
Justin Herbert, in a losing effort, he put up a very nice 420 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, did throw 2 picks, had 30 yards on the ground. Matt Stafford, maybe we got to throw his name into the MVP hunt right now as the Rams continue rolling. London game, they beat up on Jacksonville. He had 5 touchdowns, only 182 yards, but still great for fantasy, those 5 scores. Jackson Dart, nice game from him, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 on the ground, so 4 total, only 11 yards rushing as Denver continues to hold quarterbacks back from rushing. He did throw an interception as well. The old men, Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers on Thursday. Flacco 342 and 3. Aaron Rodgers 249 and 4. He did throw 2 interceptions. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, great this week as well. Drake May continues to be a top 12 play. And Jacoby Brissett and Daniel Jones, they round out the QB1s. Jacoby Brissett, I believe this is the second week in a row. He has found his name in the top 12. Hey, Arizona, he might be your best play for your offense. They seem to be moving the ball. Like, we'll talk about Trey McBride in a little bit too. Like, Jacoby Brissett. And they've already come out and said, like, they have the bye this week, that Kyler Murray's status is unknown for week 9. So we'll see what Arizona does going forward. Jalen Hurts is the name I'll touch base on through here. He had negative 10 yards rushing and didn't have a rushing touchdown. Minnesota bottled him up in the run game, and Saquon Barkley as well. But for fantasy purposes and real-life purposes for Eagles fans, it was great to see Jalen Hurts out there able to sling it and this offense be able to move the ball through the air, which has been a little ticky-tacky here so far through the year. 326 yards, 3 touchdowns for Hurts. We're going to talk about Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown coming up soon as well. So the Eagles offense was running on all cylinders through the passing game. And I don't know how much of the running game was just because Cam Jurgens got hurt early on, and Minnesota did a really good job when the tush push came. They actually lined up one of the defenders horizontally. So an interesting approach from Brian Flores there, but it was nice to see the Eagles offense for fantasy purposes be able to move the ball through the air.
Yeah, for sure. And Hurts looked great too, dude. So did Smith and Brown. We'll get to them. So I love to see that. And I don't want to get like hyped about it, but Dallas Goedert wasn't involved. And that's what I like to see out of this offense. Your offense should not be relying through Dallas Goedert. That's not a productive offense. Your offense is productive when it's going through A.J. Brown, it's going through Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley. There's no reason that Dallas Goedert is a number 1 option in this stacked Philadelphia offense. So hopefully we just see this kind of ball going forward. I'm going to quick touch on Drake May. He set the franchise record for completion percentage in New England. He went 21 of 23, which is insane. 2 incompletions all day. So shout out Drake May. Keep doing your thing, young man. He's that guy, dude. He's so good, dude.
He also added 62 yards on the ground as well as he continues to be really good for fantasy. If you spent that late round pick on him, he has been incredible value for you, as you can just pretty much lock him in as your quarterback, and you can use a roster spot elsewhere, as you really don't need a second one with the way he's playing right now.
Yeah, for sure. And another late round quarterback that went this year was Dak Prescott, and he has been in the top 12 consistently all season. So
who would have thought?
Exactly. Wow. It's not like we just sat here and be like, Dak Prescott's going way too late. He was like the 13th quarterback being drafted, which is insane. In this offense that has absolutely no defense helping it out at all, Dak Prescott's going to be this good for the rest of the season, especially with CeeDee Lamb now back. Oh, love it.
I was talking to our buddy Bobby who's a Cowboys fan, he messaged me that the Cowboys are rumored to be going after Max Crosby here from the Raiders as they're trying to get a trade done, apparently.
Hmm.
Interesting take when they could have just paid Micah Parsons, but that
Yeah,
is what
that's
it
a
is.
weird approach.
He was telling me like they're trying to base the deal around like Trayvon Diggs and draft picks. And about an hour after he told me that, he had messaged me that Trayvon Diggs put his house on the market in the Dallas area. So we'll see if there's any truth to those rumors, but something to keep an eye on if Dallas can go out there, get them a piece like a Max Crosby that betters their defense and could potentially affect their offense for fantasy. We'll see, but interesting move as always by Jerry Jones when he could have just paid Micah Parsons and they wouldn't have this issue.
Yeah, I'm not. We could have a whole podcast about Jerry Jones and the absolute dumbest decisions he's ever made because we
He
could
would love
probably
that.
rattle off a top
He would love
15. Oh yeah, no, any publicity is good publicity when you're that
we're talking
rich,
about
dude.
him, and that's all he cares about.
That's true. That is
the Dallas
valid.
Cowboys name keeps coming out of our mouths. Anybody else here?
Jackson Dart's also been a top 12 quarterback 3 out of his 4 starts, and his other start he was 16th, and that was his loss in New Orleans. So he still had 2 touchdowns through the air that game and 55 yards through the ground. So Jackson Dart going forward is pretty startable.
Yeah, it was good to see this week that he's able to sustain fantasy value without rushing upside, because really getting carried by those 55, 60-yard games, that's 5.5, 6 points. Mm-hmm. So that goes a long way. And this game with only 11 yards on the ground, but he was able to get a rushing touchdown, still put up 3 through the air. So Brian Daboll's doing a wonderful job coaching up Jackson Dart. And, personnel-wise, it was a mess against the Giants, against Denver in that fourth quarter. So that does fall back on him. But his work solely with Jackson Dart has been
phenomenal,
out of this world, way better than we expected this early.
Yeah, here's my actual take on the Giants game. As a diehard Giants fan, it was one of the worst losses in NFL history, but I didn't think we were going to win the game, to be honest, and we shut them out. We were up 19-0. That is outstanding football for 3 of the 4 quarters. We are a young team. We don't have experience, so we dropped the ball in the 4th. We couldn't close out, and it happens. But I'm so excited that we have our guy. Like, Jackson Dart is that guy. He is going to be our future quarterback. We just got to get this kid to town. I wish Neighbors was out here. We need a little bit more other pieces on the offensive line to solidify it. Personally, I think we need a new defensive coordinator. I think that needs to happen in the offseason. And I want to see how Mike Kafka finishes the rest of the season, because I also think his job's on the line. But I think Daboll should be safe with how good Jackson Dart has looked with him as the play caller.
Do you kind of think that's the route ownership will go? Like, hey, Daboll, you get to stay, but we get to pick your staff, which doesn't always go well. Like that happened with Philly in the past, where Sirianni's crew got fired and ownership got involved and was just like, okay, we're picking the coordinators here. It'll be interesting.
I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I think Daboll still ends up the play caller next season, so I don't really care who the offensive coordinator is, to be honest, because it's Brian Daboll calling the plays. Defensive coordinator, though, I would really want someone that knows what they're doing, an experienced mind, someone that can actually run a blitzed-heavy defense, because we got the talent to get there.
Shane Bowden is experienced. He was Tennessee's defensive coordinator for like 8 years.
Yeah, I want good experience, TJ.
Oh, Tennessee's defenses were mostly good when the Titans were good
fine.
with Mike Vrabel.
They were fine. They were okay. Yeah. We need to bring in someone that has a name behind him, dude. We need to bring in value. I don't want to bring in a guy that had a mediocre defense for 8 years under Mike Vrabel, who was the defensive coordinator on that team.
Those names can be tough to come by, though. I can't think of any.
I get that. I get that.
One on you. Like, it's easy from the offensive side because we could just throw out Mike McDaniel, who's probably going to get fired from Miami. For sure. And he will 100% become the highest paid offensive coordinator in football, without a doubt, wherever 100%. He ends up. I even think there's a shot he ends up with a head coaching gig. Like, I don't think he will. I wouldn't give him another one until, a couple of years. Like, I would love him with Cam Ward. as the offensive coordinator, where he could solely focus on Cam Ward's development. Maybe Tennessee brings in a Mike McCarthy, maybe just like, and then McCarthy kind of throws the offense to Mike McDaniel and help develop Cam Ward. I think that is the dream scenario for the Titans. Anyone else with quarterbacks? Ready to move to running backs?
Yeah, no, I think you hit it pretty good. We had a lot of high performances here from a lot of good quarterbacks. A couple guys dropped over 40, so you love to see that. Like Bo Nix shining out. I get it was a rough start, but man, at the end of the day, it's where you finish, and he finished his QB1 this week. So those 3 quarters where he shit the bed, yeah, it sucks, but it really doesn't matter.
An elite Justin Fields performance from Bo Nix, where it was just all fourth quarter.
Hopefully we
Justin
have
Fields.
to talk about that guy just this one more time, and that is it.
He will. I don't know. I think he'll still be the quarterback at some point again this year.
I completely disagree, dude.
Tyrod has a history of getting hurt, so it wouldn't surprise me behind that terrible.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not saying he wins the job back. I'm saying Tyrod Taylor gets hurt, and Justin Fields is just ultimately back in.
Yeah, I'm not out here predicting injuries, but it's not going to be based off of performance. But if Tyrod gets hurt, then you can't stop that from happening. But he can't be worse than Justin Fields. He can't be worse than Justin Fields. It's not going to happen.
He was for fantasy. He had
That's not what I'm looking. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a quarterback.
Yes. Yeah. That's going to be the easiest mock. The Jets are going to be picking 1, 2, or 3, and it's going to be a quarterback.
Yeah. No matter 100%. Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor.
McCaffrey, big dog, baby.
McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor, their names are in this lineup every week. Jahmyr Gibbs, it was good to see the Jahmyr Gibbs performance we've been looking for this year. Like, he's been fine, but this was his first huge game. He had 136 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 grabs for 82 yards. As maybe you needed a Monday miracle, and there's probably a good chance Jahmyr Gibbs got it for you. He had an incredible game. And then, McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor, they've been doing this all year. McCaffrey, 2 touchdowns, 129 yards on the ground, 7 grabs, 72 yards. Jonathan Taylor had 3 touchdowns, almost 100 on the ground, 3 grabs for 38 yards. As they've been, if you drafted those guys, they've been absolutely carrying your unit and likely led you to a winning record as of now. Your start of the week, Quinshon Judkins, he had 3 touchdowns on 84 yards. Nothing for the passing game, but great game for him as he ripped up the Miami Dolphins. DeAndre Swift and Kyle.
So good. Yeah, Swift looked good, bro.
The Bears running crew, Swift 124-1. He had 1 grab for 14. Monungai 81 yards and a touchdown, 2 grabs for 13. This is what Ben Johnson wants. He wants that fire and ice, or thunder and lightning, whatever sort of tandem you want to come up with. And this is like the first time where like both these guys got to showcase that, and it killed my start of the week, Caleb Williams, who we'll get to a little bit later. But Monungai and Swift were great for the Bears. And going forward, like, I think you roster Monungai because he's clearly in line as the number 2 running back, but he's also getting a ton of work as the backup here. So in favorable matchups, I think Monungai could be a flex play going forward here.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think Monungai's at least the number 2 waiver pickup on the week, maybe even the number 1 waiver running back pickup of the week behind Smith in Kansas City. But Monungai looked great out there, dude. We hyped him up all offseason from Rutgers. And let's get Ben Johnson out here. Get these guys, both guys, running the ball heavily. We don't need to rely on Caleb Williams. Yeah, he's been able to do it here and there throughout the season. But let's get this run game going, and that's going to ultimately open up Caleb Williams' passing game. We're going to get Rome more involved. We're going to get Luther Burton more involved. This is how we get the offense actually rolling. I think the Bears have won 4 in a row.
This guy just disrespecting DJ Moore. Not even bringing him up. Their leading receiver this week.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't need to. I named the 2 best receivers on that team going forward.
The usual sub, Bijan Robinson also found his way in here. 52 yards through the air on 6 catches, 40 yards on the ground. He did get into the end zone. Javonte Williams scores again, 116 yards on the ground. Josh Jacobs, 2 touchdowns for him. Cam Scadaboo, 3 catches and a touchdown, 60 yards. Ramondre Stevenson, nice little game, 88 yards and a touchdown. We saw no Travion Henderson, a season low in snap percentage for him. He was not needed. Chase Brown, finally
I'm
making an appearance. 108 yards for Chase Brown this week.
Chase Brown on here is
and
delightful.
Jalen Warren, both running backs on Thursday. Jalen Warren, 127 yards, 4 receptions, 31. He is the bell cow there in Pittsburgh. Like, you could keep Kenneth Gainwell on your bench on the chance Jalen Warren, gets banged up. History shows it happens. It's already happened this year. And in that start, Kenneth Gainwell was incredible. And Kenneth Gainwell has had fantasy value even with Warren out there. So I wouldn't move on from him. I would just keep him on my bench. But good to see him coming back healthy and able to carry that workload. But go on about Travion Henderson.
I can't even imagine being like a Henderson truther. Like, I liked him coming out of college, but I didn't love him. Like, most of Twitter loved Henderson coming out. Most scouts loved Henderson. You loved Henderson. I can't even fathom how you people feel. Just what is going on in New England. Like, I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know what it is. Because I do know Ramondre's not this good. I get he had a decent week this week. Ramondre's not a great running back. He's not keeping high-level talent off the field. If Judkins theoretically was Ramondre's backup, he would not be stopping Judkins from getting on the field from what Judkins is doing in Cleveland. I don't know what's going on with Henderson, dude. You might be able to cut him.
I would. With a ton of bye weeks coming up, you can move on from him. I was also a Caleb Johnson truther. I had Caleb Johnson over Travion Henderson, and that is not working out for me right now. But I think Travion Henderson will be fine. I got
Scadaboo wrong, so it happens.
This year, I think you can move on from him, but I do think it's just a coaching thing with Mike Vrabel and them. Just like they spent a high draft pick on Kyle Williams as well, a 3rd-round pick, and he has not seen the field this year.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think a lot of that is coaching and just that old school aspect. And they're winning games, so they're not incentivized to play these dudes right now. Yeah. They're winning with Kayshon Boutte and Steph Diggs and Ramondre Stevenson. And, they're winning because of Drake May, ultimately. He is the benefactor of all this. That it just goes to show that Drake May can, carry these names despite what sort of real life value they have. But real life and, dynasty, I'm not worried about Travion Henderson at all. But this year, just in a box, I think you can move on him with a ton of bye weeks going on. I think you can cut Travion Henderson.
I agree. If you have to cut Henderson, you can, like you said, with the bye weeks. And then if you're a deep team and you have an open spot, pick him up, roster him if someone does cut him. But he is definitely a trade candidate in Dynasty. If you do believe in him, and I necessarily don't, I would still go out and try to get Henderson, because it's almost to the point where people that drafted him are gonna be like, someone's offering me a second next year for Henderson. He hasn't been on the field at all this year. I'll take that 2nd-round pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not there yet where I'm rushing.
Oh,
to
no,
move
I
him.
agree.
Yeah, and you can also make that case for a guy like Brian Thomas Jr., who's been banged up this year and hasn't been productive, and people I know are rushing to just move on from. They're done with him, and I sometimes you just gotta sit patience with guys. It happens.
I don't know.
He's hurt.
I don't know.
You cannot tell me that
mentally.
No. He came into the offseason with a wrist injury.
He got a boo-boo.
No, he there's some undisclosed, it would not surprise me if it comes out that he has surgery on his hand in the offseason. Hey, he had a wrist injury coming into camp, and I don't know if there's something wrong with his shoulder or nerve damage, because he got a slight push, and that dude could barely move his arm.
All I know is I sat on this podcast and ate my words that I was wrong when he had a great season. But I also sat here and claimed that he would have a phenomenal rookie season, and he will never have another season like that. It's looking pretty good for your boy right here.
Yeah, well, I'm not worried about Brian Thomas Jr. one bit. I am worried about the Jacksonville quarterback, though.
Well,
more than I am Brian Thomas Jr.
They got a bum coach. They got a bum quarterback.
No, not worried about coaching either. I think.
That guy. Bad. I do not like that guy.
I'm not worried about him. Zach Charbonnet, 2 touchdowns, unproductive elsewise, 49 yards, 2 grabs. Achan, he was a top 15 play, 82 yards. He was the only Dolphin worth a damn this week. 82 yards, 3 catches for 16. Any other backs? I know you brought up Brashard Smith. He was a RB2 this week. I didn't put him in here because he wasn't a top 15 guy, but he was on the field for a ton. And Pacheco also had a nice game. He got into the end zone. It was his best game of the season. But Brashard Smith is a name to monitor. We've brought him up off and on here throughout the year, but it looks like he has supplanted Kareem Hunt as of now.
Yeah, I
we also thought this about Woody Warks a few weeks ago, and then he did nothing against Baltimore, but he took that job back this week where Nick Chubb
I was going to say
25%. So
he out.
Keep an eye on Brashard Smith, but if you do pick him up and say there is a week next week and he only has 15% of snaps, I wouldn't worry. This happens with rookie running backs. And they have their bye week coming up soon, and I think that's when he starts ramping up, and it becomes him and Pacheco back there, and Kareem Hunt becomes a non-factor.
Yeah, for sure. Hunt did get hurt, but he came back out a little bit. But I expect Smith to be out there a decent amount. He had a lot of his touches in the first and second quarters. They weren't even like all garbage time and they were up 30-0. They were spread out nicely through the game. He had 14 carries. You love to see that. And he had 5 targets, all season highs on the field for 35% of snaps, RB16 on the week. So Smith is a guy to monitor for sure. Him and Manungai are my 2 waiver claims for running backs. And yeah, Woody Marks took the carries back, but he was only 10 for 15, and that's insanely bad. Averaged 1.5 yards a carry. That's a rough outing. But that whole offense is it's so bad.
He did get into the end zone, though. He got into the end zone. He had a couple catches.
Saved him.
And had
he had a receiving touchdown.
Yeah. Speaking of receivers, a lot of big weeks this week from the wide receiver position. Jamar Chase, 16 for 161 and a touchdown on Thursday. Devonta Smith against Minnesota, 9 for 183 and a touchdown. Keenan Allen, 11 grabs for 119 yards and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 4 for 121, 2 touchdowns. Chris Olave, perfect time to get hot for him, 5 for 98 and 2 touchdowns. He's a name that is floating around heavily in the trade rumor world. A report came out recently that New England is heavily monitoring Chris Olave and Jordan Addison as potential trade targets. I don't think there's a chance Minnesota moves on from Addison unless they get a blown away offer, which I think they would have to get a first. And I don't know if New England is in position to offer a first round pick. But I do think Chris Olave to New England makes a ton of sense, and that upgrades the receiving room for Drake May. Jackson Smith and Jigba, his name's been here every week. 8 for 123 and a touchdown. Devontae Adams had 3 touchdowns. He had the Tetaroa McMillan special, 5 for 35, but 3 grabs in the end zone. Travis Hunter, we brought him up that he was a name to go out and get or try to attempt to trade for. Now his stock went up, 8 grabs, 101 yards, 1 touchdown, 14 targets, and we don't know what's Brian Thomas Jr.'s health is looking like. And if he misses time, Travis Hunter is the focal point of this passing game. CeeDee Lamb, Rashee Rice, Jordan Addison, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Amon-Ra, Xavier Legette. He's an interesting name on there with 9 for 92 and a touchdown. And Chimere Dike, 4 grabs for 70 yards and a touchdown in the absence of Calvin Ridley. I think going forward with the coaching change and just Tennessee shifting younger, I think DK is an interesting name to monitor, stash, as I think playing time is going to come more and more for him. And Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett's out the door. Calvin Ridley, I think he's gone in the offseason. I don't think he's on this roster next year.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of think they're going forward. It's going to be DK and Ayumaner as their top 2 receiving threats out of Tennessee, but I don't know how valuable they're going to be with Cam Ward as their quarterback. He's been struggling, and I still love Cam Ward. I think he's going to be fine, but we'll see what happens in Tennessee. Xavier Legette's interesting because we forgot to bring up Bryce Young. Bryce Young is hurt. He has a high ankle sprain, so he's probably going to miss 3 weeks, which means Andy Dalton's the quarterback. And if Andy Dalton's the quarterback, he's going to heavily target Legette because most of his targets came when Andy Dalton entered the game. So we got to just monitor that. So we'll see how good Legette is going forward with Andy Dalton. But I think for the next 2 to 3 weeks, it's going to be Dalton as the quarterback of that team.
Did Dalton get a touchdown, or was the touchdown from Bryce
Bryce?
Young? Bryce Young had a touchdown. I couldn't.
I think the touchdown was from Bryce, but
Okay.
I could be wrong. I wasn't deeply watching the Panthers game.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. Look at, we know Dalton can also sustain the offense a little better than Bryce Young in terms of fantasy value. I think you see a spike. Even Jalen Coker, who put up a goose, but first game back for him, I am not shying away from getting rid of him either. I would keep Jalen Coker if I can. I think just first game back, I'm not concerned with the 0 points from him, as I think he'll continue to get better. And if Andy Dalton is the quarterback, that does boost him a little bit going forward there.
Mm-hmm.
T. Higgins, I want to talk about him. 6 for 96 and a touchdown on Thursday. Is he now in a situation where we're comfortable putting T. Higgins back in our lineup with Joe Flacco there? T. Higgins is a flex guy. I know when it was Jake Browning, it's just like, yeah, I don't even think you could start T. Higgins.
You can't. Yeah. When it was Browning, he wasn't even startable. I wouldn't comfortably lock him in as my wide receiver 2 quite yet, but he's definitely flexible for sure. 8 targets 2 weeks ago, 10 targets this week. You love the 96 and the touchdown this week with Joe Flacco, so if they're out there passing like they did versus Pittsburgh, and man, they got the Jets up next week, and we all know how I feel about the Jets, but they are in my good graces going forward because they did bench Justin Fields. Yeah. So
the offense as a whole has moved much better, which like Chase Brown had 108 yards rushing on top of all these passing yards for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So I think you can ease the tension that the Bengals were giving you here with Jake Browning, and you could play T. Higgins in the flex. I think Chase Brown is an RB2 flex play as well. And obviously Jamar Chase, if you stuck with him and hung on to him, you're not moving him now. I ultimately did trade him before they got Joe Flacco, and I 100% regret that. But
yeah, it happens.
Yep.
A guy we didn't talk about, he's just right on the outside of the top 15 of guys this week. It's Tez Johnson, Tampa Bay. Mike Evans is out for most of the fantasy season. Godwin, he's week to week still. We don't know when he's going to be healthy. Ibuka's playing banged up, so he's not 100%. Like you said, he had a little bit of a dud week, but he was still out there. But Tez Johnson, he only caught 4 for 58, and he had a touchdown the last 2 weeks. He saw 9 targets. And Baker really doesn't care who he's throwing to. If you're open, you're going to see the ball from Baker Mayfield. Tez Johnson looked exactly like he did in Oregon last week versus Detroit. He's small, he's quick, he's shifty, he gets open in space. And if you're giving Baker Mayfield space, he's going to target you, and he did 9 times on Monday night. So Tez Johnson should definitely be rostered, and he's probably going to be a flex guy the next couple weeks. He's got New Orleans coming up, and then the bye week into New England, Buffalo, LA, Arizona, New Orleans. Again, those are 5-6 juicy matchups leading you into the playoffs. So Tez Johnson, go out and get him if he's still on waivers. If not, you might have missed the boat.
Yeah. Touchdown back-to-back games. The week before that, really the last 3 weeks, he's been productive. 4 for 59, 1 for 45 and a touchdown, 4 for 58 and a touchdown. So, and I even think with Chris Godwin's back, he probably has some value because Godwin, I think it's just going to be a slow ease into this thing.
I agree
with him. So I would keep Tez Johnson around on your roster if you can find a spot for him.
And they're way two different receivers. I think Godwin's just going to be the short, across the middle kind of guy where Ibuka does everything well. So he'll continue doing that. But Tez Johnson's going to be the guy to take the top off this defense. And Baker's a guy to throw the ball deep. So I think Tez is going to have a lot of spike weeks where he's more valuable than Jameson Williams going forward. And I don't even think it's insane.
Jameson Williams.
I don't know what's happening there. That's another podcast story for this. I don't.
Yeah.
How do you goose? How do you get 0 count? Now I'm going on. How do you get 0 catches when the game before you have the most receptions you have ever had in the NFL game? You have 6 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. Get the dude the ball, bro. He's so good in open field. Yeah. All he does is get open. He is Tez Johnson, but big. He's so lengthy.
The Lions were moving the ball effectively without him, and like we're going to talk about David Montgomery later. He wasn't valuable at all. Sam Laporta wasn't valuable at all. This was really Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra. They leaned on their superstars because even Jared Goff wasn't great for fantasy. But
like, I'm so bummed that Jameson Williams re-signed with Detroit this offseason. He could have got paid somewhere else, even after this dud season. Like, you can go be somewhere. Like, imagine him in New York with Malik Neighbors next year. They are two opposite receivers who will both dominate on offense. And
imagine getting him with Cam Ward. He'd be the perfect receiver for Cam Ward.
He would be the number one in Tennessee, and he'd be amazing. He'd be Detroit kills me. It's too efficient what they do.
Like getting George Pickens would be the ultimate dream for the Titans, but I don't think Dallas lets him go. But if they do, Tennessee
he's getting paid regardless.
Tennessee has the most cap room in football. They need to throw all of that at George Pickens. He'd be the perfect receiver for Cam Ward. Let's move on to tight ends. A lot of tight ends have been like all over the like another great week for tight ends, and there's a ton of names in here that we're definitely not on rosters. Pat Freiermuth. You haven't been able to start him, but 5 for 111, 2 touchdowns. Arande Gadsden, 7 for 164 and 1 touchdown.
I think that's the important one.
It is, but I still worry that some of that is Quentin Johnston wasn't 100%. So, because Quentin Johnston didn't have the best game. He thankfully got in the end zone, but he was like 2 for 30 and a touchdown.
Yeah.
It does worry me that once he's full go, Gadsden kind of stops, but I think going forward, like I think there's going to be now games where Quentin Johnston doesn't have a lot of value, or Keenan Allen doesn't have a lot of value, or like I also don't think there's going to be games where the Chargers are down a ton like they were against Indianapolis that Justin Herbert had to throw the ball for 420 yards.
I agree.
Maybe the Kamani Vidal story is over and they just can't run the ball, and this is going to be the case, and Justin Herbert is, fantasy greatness for all these weapons. But Arande Gadsden, if he's out there, you should absolutely get him just on the chance that like he does become the second, third, fourth option in a high-powered passing offense.
Yeah, I think he's going to have like spike weeks. I don't think he's going to be consistently good the rest of the season, but I think he enters the conversation now of these weapons in LA with Keenan Allen, Laddie Daddy, Quentin Johnston. I think Orlando Gadsden now enters that, and now it's 4 deep. It just muddies everything up a little bit more, but I think he's going to have some really killer weeks from the tight end spot going forward.
How much is dynasty wise? How much does this worry you as a Trey Harris owner?
Oh, man, I mean, Keenan Allen's not going to be there next year, most likely. Not particularly thrilled. I'd rather Jack Besh probably in Dynasty going forward, and they were drafted very close to each other.
Yeah. All these weapons, like Quentin Johnston coming on, playing really good this year. Arande Gadsden now getting really involved. Does maybe worried a little bit if I do have Trey Harris in fantasy for Dynasty value.
For sure.
Trey McBride, I said we were going to talk about 10 catches, 74 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jacoby Brissett, he knows what to do. It is just get the ball to Trey McBride. Jake Ferguson, 7 catches for 29 yards. Insane stat line. 2 touchdowns for him. These two guys were 2 guys in the offseason were just like, they just don't score touchdowns. And now, like, Trey McBride is, 4 touchdowns on the year already? And Jake Ferguson has, 6 in the last 3 games.
Yeah. Ferguson has 6 in the last 4. McBride has 3 in the last 2, but he has 4 on the season. Brissett knows how to get McBride touchdowns. Like, at this point, it might not be a Trey McBride thing on he doesn't score touchdowns. It might be a Kyler Murray just doesn't get this guy the ball in the red zone problem, because he's having absolutely no issue scoring the last 2 weeks with Jacoby Brissett as his quarterback.
Yep. Arizona has a quarterback problem, and I don't know how easily they can get out of Kyler Murray, or
not easily at all.
Or even what sort of scenario trade-wise they can make happen that you could do a him and Tua swap, but how much better is Arizona with Tua?
Probably worse if I had to make an assumption. I'm not going to lie to you.
I don't know how they get out of it. They'll have to figure something out. Dalton Schultz, 9 for 98. I guess keep an eye on him with Nico Collins potentially missing time. Dalton Schultz here the last 2 weeks has been really good.
Gross. You are right. Yeah, and if Nico's not there, Jaden Higgins kind of shit the bed Monday night. He goosed it, so he had 0.
Yeah.
Dalton Schultz might be a playable option next week.
There's 6 teams on a bye this week.
Yeah, so that's a good point.
Dalton Schultz may be in play.
Hi.
The two Giants tight ends, Danny Bellinger, Theo Johnson, each got a touchdown. Each had 3 grabs. Bellinger, 88 yards. Johnson, 66. Tyler Warren, he's a yacht, 4 for 69, a touchdown.
So good.
Tucker Kraft, 5 for 58 and a touchdown. And Noah Fant rounds out the top 10 with 4 for 44 and a touchdowns. Like I said, a lot of names that aren't rostered or even played here. But Pat Freiermuth, he was tight end 1. Do you think there's sustainable value there for him, or do you just think this is just classic Arthur Smith? We don't know what's coming next week. It could be Jonnu Smith. It could be DK Metcalf. It could be Kenneth Gainwell. Like, do you trust Freiermuth here as the second option potentially in Pittsburgh? No, me either.
No, not at all. This is his first game over double digits in full point PPR. The week before this, he literally had 1 target for 1 catch, 11 yards. The game before that, he saw 0 targets. So I'm good. I'm good on the whole Pittsburgh tight end situation debacle. Their room's too muddy. They got 3 tight ends deep, 4 tight ends if you want to count.
Darnell Washington is constantly.
Darnell Washington, exactly, yeah. So I'm good.
Yeah, I agree. And most of that fantasy value was just on broken plays where he just found the end zone on long. And that's not really sticky stuff.
I'm going to bring up Travis Kelce. He had a decent little game.
He was like tight end 20, though.
Yeah, but 3 for 54. Like, that's fine. People look at that as like a fine game for a tight end. It is what it is. He only saw the 3 targets. That's a horrendous target share with Patrick Mahomes is out there winging the ball. And this is what happened when Rashid Rice was out the field last year. The 3 games with Rashid Rice, Travis Kelce was absolutely irrelevant. You should probably try to go get something for that guy right now because it's not going to be a pretty rest of the season.
I had him in the Players of the Week, WEAK, just because he was 19th or 20th on tight end rankings, and that's not good. Even with a fine real life game, 3 for 54, but for fantasy, you were disappointed if you started Kelce. I do want to bring up Juwan Johnson. He was just outside the top 10, but he was involved again, so it was good to see. He was like 5 for 54, 7 targets or something like that. So you could kind of, if you hung on to Juwan Johnson, kind of gives you faith that there are going to be games where he's involved. And that was with Chris Olave getting 2 touchdowns in this game. So he's obviously their second best pass catcher. And
yeah, for sure.
Now, no Kendre Miller, and Alvin Kamara has been incredibly unreliable as a running back.
There's also a chance Olave gets traded.
Yeah, and I think, like we said, we were not starting Juwan Johnson, but we weren't ready to move on from him, and this gives us hope that, he's still going to be a viable part of this offense. I do think Chris Olave gets dealt, and I think him and Shaheed get a nice boost. So if you're able to go out and get either one of those guys, kudos to you. Yeah,
I agree. He saw the most targets he's seen since week 3, so you love that. And we got to remember he got hurt. He was playing banged up. So if he played banged up for 3 to 4 weeks and now he's healthy, good to go, maybe we'll start seeing more targets. And on the plus side, if Olave gets dealt, we'll see even more targets. So I like Johnson on a team. You can't really start him every week, but you could definitely start him if you need.
Yeah. Before we get into the bad players of the week, EAK, let's shout out our friends over at Finley Hats. As you see, I got a nice little spooky hat on. It's got a little Art the Clown on it. Finley Hats, they do weekly hat drops every Friday, 10 p.m. Pacific. So you check them out. Limited runs there. They also have standard hats, dad hats, beanies, all sorts of stuff. They don't just do the weekly drops. They have merch, shirts, joggers, jerseys, all sorts of stuff over there. So check out our friends over at Finley Hats. Their hats are built for good times and long times. If your hat's damaged or destroyed, they'll replace it or repair it absolutely free. They offer free shipping across the U.S., so that's always nice. I'm a very anti-paying for shipping kind of guy, so if somebody offers me free shipping, I am 100% more likely to purchase from them. In the description, there's a link. You can click it. You'll get yourself a nice 15% discount off your first purchase. So join the force over at Finley Hats. All right, let's get started on quarterback players of the week. I brought up Jared Goff earlier. 241, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Bryce Young, your start of the week. He did get banged up at only 138-1. My start of the week, Caleb Williams, 172 yards, 1 interception, no touchdowns, -2 yards on the ground. Sam Darnold wasn't great. He had a fumble, he had an interception, he had 1 touchdown, only 213 yards. Baker Mayfield, I wouldn't necessarily call him like a dud, but his
You
worst
can
game
put him here.
fantasy-wise of the season, he was outside the top 15. He was 228, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but kind of give him a little leeway. Tampa's banged up, and Baker's been great this year. But this was the first true game where if you started Baker, you're kind of let down.
Yeah, no, this is a big letdown, especially on the expectations of this game. The over-under on this game was crazy. It was close to 50. They really expected this game to be wild. And Tampa Bay went out there, and it was close. It's closer than what the box score says at the end of the game. It was 24-9 at the finish, but Tampa Bay was really hanging around. It felt like Detroit was killing them from what I was watching, and I just kept looking down. I'm like, oh, but Tampa's kind of hanging around. But it's not that great of a performance fantasy-wise for Baker, but going forward, it's going to be fine. It is what it is. Guys have bad weeks. Abuka's going to be healthier next week. Hopefully, Tez Johnson takes another step forward. We'll see if Godwin's out there.
Bucky's going to be back soon.
Exactly. So it's all going to start rolling back for Tampa. And one bad week for Baker versus a decent Detroit defense, to be honest. So it's all right.
Yeah. Any of the other quarterbacks you want to talk about there? Or any quarterbacks you want to add?
I mean, CJ Stroud was kind of fine, but not great. That offense is horrendously going forward. I don't really want anyone except Nico, and Nico has a concussion now, so kind of a rough spot. Jordan Love didn't do phenomenal as well. He was quarterback 17, 18 on the week. He kind of was just floating around. Little better performances from guys, hopefully going forward, especially pure pocket guys. And this is, if these guys aren't putting up 3 touchdowns a week, they don't run the ball. This is why CJ Stroud is quarterback 15 through 20 every week. Jordan Love kind of falls into this range unless he puts up 3 to 4 touchdowns. Jared Goff some weeks. So this just shows the benefit of rushing quarterbacks in fantasy football. Sometimes you got to get the guys with legs, man.
Yeah. Oh, they all have legs.
Agree to disagree.
I don't think there's
I've seen Dalton Schultz. I've seen Dalton Schultz catch a ball, brother. I don't think that guy's got legs.
Get the guy with legs. Hates Justin Fields.
Well, no, because you need a guy that can actually throw a ball as well.
You got to get a guy with arms, too.
Arms are important. Head, body. Hey, I kind of think all your limbs are pretty important for probably the most important position in sports.
Yeah.
There's only 32 guys that have starting quarterback jobs in the world, quote, in the NFL, and all 32 of them aren't good, brother. And that just shows you there's not enough good quarterbacks in the world.
Yeah, I'm sitting through one of them right now, Carson Wentz.
But hey, maybe JJ. He's still question marked. We still got JJ.
Yes. Yeah. I just wanted Max Brosmer to play this week. I was so happy that Carson Wentz showed up on the injury report.
You texted me that Brosmer might start, and I looked at it, and I literally just out loud went, you don't want that, dude. And I'm sorry, you do.
I do.
You don't. He would get rocked, dude. Carson Wentz is at least a actual NFL quarterback.
I trust Kevin O'Connell with Max Brosmer. I think Max Brosmer is primed to be the Vikings' backup quarterback long term, and I think he'll be fine if he has to play.
I don't know, man.
He is the type of quarterback for Kevin O'Connell. I think that is a good match. But nonetheless, it is Carson Wentz this week, which we'll get to that. That's the Thursday game. We will talk about the Vikings and the Chargers. Move on to running backs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jets Breece Hall, 38 yards, 2 catches, 14 yards. That guy can't wait to not be a New York Jet.
Yeah.
Kamani Vidal, 20 yards, 4 catches for 15. He was the back. Haskins
still
wasn't
is
involved, and
Haskins is hurt.
Haskins
is hurt, so it's still Vidal's backfield.
Haskins played though.
No, I'm saying he's hurt going forward. I don't think he's playing this week.
I think this situation. Oh yeah, short week. That is a possibility there. But Vikings tough to run on. I think Vidal's line more comes from the fact the Chargers were just down so much early that they just had to pass a ton. If it's a more positive game script, I think you could start Vidal. Chuba Hubbard, 31 yards, 2 catches, 24 yards through the air. Not great, but it was more of a 50-50 split with him and Rico.
Yeah.
We were expecting to be more Rico. Rashad White, he somehow becomes a starting running back and just can't run the ball anymore. 38 yards on 10 carries, 4 catches for 6. Kyron Williams was outside the top 15, 54 yards, 2 grabs, 11. Kenneth Walker just had 66 yards rushing. No passing game work. Seattle, it frustrates me. Their running back usage, like Kenneth Walker, can be explosive in the passing game, but they throw to Zach Charbonnet. And they continue to run Ken Walker up the middle, which isn't something he's great at. And it's a mess. That backfield is, I don't know what's going on there. They need to upgrade their run block. The line's been fine for passing. Like Sam Darnold has, for the most part, worked with that line much better than we thought.
You got to take the Nick approach in that, dude. Seattle's backfield is terrible. Both guys are not good. Neither of those guys are fantasy relevant. Sure, you can start Charbonnet, but he needs to score. Sure, you can start Ken Walker, but it's not going anywhere. It's not worth it. I don't think either guy should be started. They both should be rostered, but I would rather look elsewhere for my points. I don't want either guy on my team.
I'm kind of at that point now with Travis Etienne. He's on this list, 44 yards, 1 catch for 11. Watching that game, I feel like I saw more Bashaw Tootin than I did Travis Etienne, and anytime I saw Bashaw Tootin get the ball, he went nowhere. So I'm not sure what's going on with the Jaguars backfield either. David Montgomery, these are games that happen for him where he's just not needed. Alvin Kamara, we brought up being not great this year. 3 catches, a yard through the passing game, 28 yards on the ground. No Kamara, no Kendre Miller now. So how does that make you feel about Alvin Kamara going forward? Any better, or do you still just think of the situation where, like, if you have Alvin Kamara, you're trying to dip him, or do you think he is a trade for candidate?
I particularly wouldn't want Kamara, even if they dip Olave. I get his workload would get increased, but he's not seeing great targets in that offense. Like, he's seeing some, but they're not good targets. He's getting the workload because he's the only running back at this point, but it's not good volume or anything. Like, it's volume, but it's not good volume. He's just in a rough spot, and so I would rather dip him if I have him. I wouldn't acquire him either.
Okay, I agree. I would see if there is a market out there if somebody wants Alvin Kamara.
I'm sure someone would take him for sure.
Yeah, I would rather roster Kenneth Walker than Alvin Kamara. I think you're looking at the same sort of player, whereas I think Walker has more upside. I don't think Alvin Kamara is breaking off a 50-yard run at this point.
Yeah, no, I would take him over Kamara for sure.
Yeah. Saquon Barkley. The Eagles tried using him early on. He was heavily involved, but Minnesota shut him down. Only 44 yards on the ground. He had 1 catch for -2. Ashton Jeanty, one catch for 13 yards, 21 yards on the ground. The Raiders' offense was just absolutely useless against the Chiefs. Like, Geno Smith had 60 yards passing. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, 33 yards on the ground, 1 catch for -1 yards. All 3 running backs all time in Washington. Chris Rodriguez, Jeremy McNichols. It is a frustrating situation to be holding Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt after that big breakout game we saw from him, and now the last 2 weeks have been sort of a dud. Nick Chubb, only 25% of the snaps, 16 yards, and Travion Henderson, who we already talked about, had just 5 yards on 2 carries.
Yeah, I think we both got billed the last 2 weeks in our starts of the
Bill
week.
Got
he
us.
was mine. He was mine 2 weeks ago, and then he was yours this week, and he's just like, hey, by the way, putting my points together those 2 weeks, it's still not even 10, so you guys got. I didn't hear you bring up Genty. Genty had a really rough game. He only had 21 yards.
I said Genty before Bill.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear the Genty with the 6 carries, 21 yards, 1 catch.
Yeah.
The Raiders, though.
The Raiders' offense is bad.
Yeah, they didn't even show up.
67
exactly.
yards passing. Yeah, and not ideal, but I'm still rolling with Genty. I just think that they ran into a bad situation.
Yeah. I'm not saying like dip him or anything, but man, he has not had the season anyone really predicted him to have yet. So it's just been a rough go for Genty.
Yeah, and I don't think that's on him. You clearly see the talent.
No.
We were very in on Las Vegas having this really good offensive line, and this offensive line has
been bad
this year. And we were in on getting the better quarterback in Geno Smith, who has been bad this year. And we were in on Pete Carroll, like he's a great coach, and Pete Carroll has been bad this year. Yeah. So I honestly don't know if Pete Carroll's the coach there next year. And I love Pete Carroll. I think he's a great coach. The game might have passed him by. Or maybe it's Chip Kelly. Maybe it's just the offensive coordinator here. I don't know.
It's something. No, you got to change something. Like Genty's had like 3 really good games, And outside of that, it's kind of been hit or miss. A lot of those games not even breaking double digits. I think he's had 3 games under 10. So Genty's been a rough go for sure. Like he has not been a lot of the rookie running backs have not been up to par with their draft stock.
This you'll love this. Quinshon Judkins, as far and away, has been the best rookie running back.
Shocking.
Even over Hampton, who was great when he
was great
the last
who was great
2 weeks before injury, but he wasn't great before that. But Judkins has consistently looked good this year, and that's missing camp.
Yeah, that's insane to me. Like the fact that he missed camp, didn't have any ramp up at all.
Cleveland.
Freaking Darren Waller had 8 weeks of ramp up, and he played 3 weeks, and he got hurt again. So Judkins had no ramp up, and he's out here being the best rookie running back so far this season. You absolutely love to see it. I am thrilled to see Judkins doing this, dude.
Yeah. Get that guy on a real offense. I'd love to see it.
Would love to see it.
Speaking of that, did you hear the report that like Deshaun Watson wants them to change coaches going into next season? Because let's not forget that guy's on that roster, and there's a chance he's the quarterback next year.
I forgot that guy existed. That's how much I do not give a shit about that
what a
human
world
being.
To live in. Yeah.
You said his name, and I'm like, what say does that fucking idiot have in anything? I guess he's still there. No. That guy should have saying, don't bring that guy up again on this podcast, please.
I'm just saying, like, if he is the quarterback next year and he somehow orchestrates a coaching change, we're just back into Cleveland just being a bit small.
That would be insane. That would. Oh, okay.
The Washington crew. Yeah, we talked about Ja'Cory Merritt, Bill screwing us over. Are you moving on from him? Is he someone you're willing to cut?
I wouldn't cut him. I wouldn't cut him, but it's not his backfield. It's not going to be his backfield going forward. It's going to be a mix of all of these guys. No, it's not going to be anyone's. It's going to be a mix of all three, most likely getting carries. But I still think Bill has the most upside out of any of those 3 guys.
Yeah. Nick Chubb, moving on from him or no?
Man, can you? Like, it was his backfield 2-3 weeks ago, and then it wasn't his backfield, and then it was his again. I think it's going to roll that way. I would assume they're playing these guys based off of how the defense lines up. If they need a quicker, explosive guy, Woody Marks is on the field. If they need a bruiser, Nick Chubb's on the field. I think it's going to be hit or miss all season for both guys.
Yeah, I think it'll be game script. If they're down in games, you're going to see Woody Marks. If there's games that they're winning, you're going to see Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I don't think you consistently get points from either guy going forward, though.
Yeah. I think how do you feel about ETN? I brought up that I'm kind of over him.
I still like ETN. I did. Okay. I still like ETN going forward. If I had to pick out of like all of the guys that we've been bringing up, I would take ETN going forward over Kamara, over Seattle's guys, over at the Arizona running backs.
I hold him in the same boat as Kenneth Walker. They would be the top 2 of this group. But neither excite me. Like I think a lot needs to happen for me to be excited about it. But ETN probably does have because he at least is the pass catcher, so there is PPR upside with him. Where Kenneth Walker, they for whatever reason they don't pass him the ball. Receivers, we good to move on?
Yeah, I think you hit it.
Yeah, some big names here. Roma Dunze,
yeah, for sure.
2 for 31. This is back-to-back weeks. We're seeing him in this category. Jalen Waddle, 1 for 15. Jamison Williams, nothing. No stat line. Didn't catch a single pass. Kendrick Bourne, who's been the hotness, 2 for 14. Tedero McMillan, only 3 for 33. Nico Collins, 4 for 27. He got the concussion, but he played the majority of the game. Xavier Worthy, 3 for 35. Marv, 2 for 58. DK Metcalf, 3 for 50. DJ Moore, who was the leading receiver in Chicago, was just 3 for 43. Drake London, after those 2 big weeks, 4 for 42. Trey Tucker, 5 for 33. Like, you could put a Buka in here, too. He was 4 for 58. Luke McCaffrey, who we were pounding the table for. No Debo, no Terry McLaurin, no catches for Luke McCaffrey.
Yeah, man, that was a rough outing Jr. for sure.
3 for 31. He's injured now. We don't know. Matthew Golden, Cooper Kupp only had one target this past week. He was 1 for 32. Jerry Jeudy, you can move on from him and any Cleveland Brown wide receiver. He was 2 for 17. If you haven't moved on from Jeudy, I don't know what you're waiting for, because it's not happening. And I was the Jeudy truther here on the podcast. You don't want a Cleveland receiver. Harold Fanning is the only rosterable one. Njoku, you shouldn't move on for him because I think there's a good chance he gets dealt. So there's upside for him if he's out of Cleveland. But yeah, some big name dudes here.
Yeah, not that George Pickens had a bad game per se. He was 4 for 82, which is a great stat line. But he's been consistently in the top 5 the last couple of weeks with the way Dallas's offense has been going. And now CeeDee Lamb is back. So this is kind of...
It's going to be a little touch and go with Pickens.
I think this is going to be the kind of the ballpark where George Pickens falls. He kind of finished outside of the 24. Obviously, he's going to have weeks in the top 24 because of the way he plays. He's going to have huge touchdown weeks. But we might not see the top 5 consistently George Pickens anymore.
And Dallas was like up this whole game. They whooped Washington. So Pickens
it wasn't close.
Overly needed. But in games that it's going to be shootouts, George Pickens you're not going to worry about it. But there are going to be weeks where Pickens is kind of a letdown per se for you. I also think that's going to happen with Jake Ferguson as well. Like 7 for 29, not ideal, but like thankfully he got into the end zone twice.
Yeah, for sure. The 7 for 29 is very similar to his week 1 stat line where he had a bunch of targets, didn't bring them in, had a couple of yards, but he missed 2 touchdown catches. If he would have brought those 2 touchdowns in week 1, he would have a huge week 1. But we look at his week 1 as, he kind of had a bad week 1 because of the way the game finished. But the opportunities were still there for Ferguson. But we're going to have games where he finishes with 35 yards. And if he doesn't get in the end zone, it's going to be bad. But all the targets are there. The opportunities there for Ferguson. He's probably still close to my tight end 2 to 3 going forward.
Xavier Worthy, you worried about him? 3 for 35. Rashee Rice was back. He had a great game, 2 touchdowns. It seemed Worthy and like Travis Kelce also with 3 grabs. Does Rashee Rice make you worried about Xavier Worthy?
I mean, I'm not a big Worthy guy to begin with. I think Rice is the option to have in this Kansas City offense. I said that all throughout the offseason. I get you had to eat the suspension, but once he's out there, he's not hurt. He's not coming back from an injury. He's coming back from driving a car way too fast.
He was hurt.
Last week, yes.
MCL.
But that was so long ago. That was almost 2 years ago. It was the beginning of last season. So he played that. He missed all of last season and then got suspended for 8 games or whatever it was, 6 games. So he's missed a ton of time.
Even so, him getting into the end zone was because he only had 42 yards. But 7 grabs. He was the primary
target. A ton of targets. Yeah, he's going to eat in this offense, especially when they're around the goal line. They're so willing to do that little touch pass, which is just a run, but Mahomes gets the point, so I absolutely adore it. It works so well, and the way Rice plays, he's all around the line of scrimmage, and then he's going to start pushing down the field a little bit more as he starts playing longer. Rice is going to be close to a top 12 receiver at the end of the season. Like, from here on out, it's going to be nuts.
I'm not worried about Worthy. I just think it was a game situation, like he wasn't needed. They had the Raiders beat in the first quarter. But I think in the games that are going to be a little more competitive, Xavier Worthy is going to be fine. Like they got the Commanders this week. I don't know if Jaden Daniels is out there. It's a little more competitive, but who knows if he's going to be out there. But they got the Bills the following week. They got Denver. They got Indianapolis. They got Dallas. That should be a shootout. Like I think Worthy is I think he's a high-end flex guy in games that matter. In the games where the Chiefs should theoretically win all just name, then you were like, they got the Texans at the beginning of December. I'm probably not playing Worthy that week. I'm less comfortable with him in that game compared to the 4 of the next 5.
Him or T. Higgins going forward?
God, let me look at the Bengals schedule. I got the Jets this week, so I will play T. Higgins this week over Worthy. Jets, Bears, Steelers, Patriots, Ravens, Bills. I'd probably put them in the same boat. I'll lean Worthy. Better quarterback.
Okay. I would take T. Higgins in a heartbeat. I wouldn't even think about it, to be honest. I'm not big on Worthy. I wasn't huge on Worthy coming out. I don't like his designed plays. I like Rice in this offense, and that's what I love about this offense.
Both guys
I
are bound
would.
to get hurt though.
I
Worthy
mean,
and Higgins.
theoretically, that's how the Chiefs offense is going to work. But yeah, now give me Rice going forward out of all those guys, obviously. But Worthy, I don't know. It just I don't know. I don't like even like Devontae Smith. I would take him over Worthy going forward.
They're all in like that same bucket for me.
Well, yeah, they're all number two
Yeah.
receivers.
Well, I think they're all like I don't think they're top 24 plays. I think all three of them are kind of they teeter around right outside that, right inside that more flex.
I think
place.
Smith
like,
and Higgins hover around wide receiver too. I don't think Worthy does.
This is going to make me sound like a homer. I think Jordan Addison is as valuable, if not better options than both those guys. All those guys. He's been a top 24 guy.
I would take him over Worthy. Yeah, I would take him. That's what I'm saying. I would take him over Worthy. I would take George Pickens over Worthy.
But
if I'm just doing number two receivers on teams,
Pickens, yes. But I would take Addison.
I'm just naming number two receivers at this point. That's all I was doing. But I would take Addison over Worthy in a heartbeat in the rest of the season. It wouldn't even be close.
It does worry me though with the quarterback because Carson Wentz, that's his guy. It's Jordan Addison. He loves him. I don't know if that's going to be the case with JJ McCarthy.
I mean, that's obviously something you have to think about, but I would take all three Chargers receivers.
Like I will play the matchup with Worthy. Like against the Bills, I'm going to play Worthy because I think both teams could score 40 that week. So more upside, more scoring upside in that offense with Worthy.
Chargers statement, I would take that back. I wouldn't take Keenan Allen over him, but I would take Quentin Johnson and Laddie Daddy over Worthy going forward.
Ladd, yes. Quentin Johnston, maybe. Same boat. It would depend on the matchup. Tight ends, George Kittle. No points. He got a gooser.
But
I'm not
look what he did for the run game, dude. Look at the run game.
Yes,
this was the best run game they've had all season. And that's because of George. That's him. That was him. This is the reason McCaffrey had over 100 yards on the ground. So this was the first ever game he hasn't had a catch. I get that. But he's coming off a crazy injury. He was hurt. He's banged up.
The whole passing game was bad for San Francisco.
And that's why I'm not worried about it at all. I'm not worried about it one bit.
And when Brock Purdy gets back, I will be way more comfortable with George Kittle than I am with Mac Jones. Because Mac Jones, it seems Kendrick Bourne is his guy. So there's no real rapport with Kittle and Jones. Whereas if Brock Purdy's in there, George Kittle is fine. Travis Kelce, you worry about just hitting 3 targets. Evan Ingram, 5 for 42. He was the tight end 18. Harold Fannin, 4 for 36. Hunter Henry, Mason Taylor, Dallas Goedert, and Sam Laporta both had 3 grabs. Both had under 20 yards. AJ Barner, only 1 grab for 7. Elijah Arroyo was more involved this week, so monitor that. And my start of the week, Chig Okonkwo, Chig O0.
Hey, man, it happens. I want to say my tight end was Michael Mayer, who only had 1 catch for 10 yards. So I'll take it. I'll take those 2 points he got. 2 more than Chig.
I'd be willing to say Quinshon Judkins might have outscored my whole plays of the week. You also had Rashee Rice.
I was gonna say I also had Rashee Rice.
I don't even. Cortland Sutton was my wide receiver. He had a good game.
Yeah, he had a nice little game.
Yards.
He had a nice little fourth quarter.
But Bill was bad. Caleb Williams was bad. Chig Okonkwo 0. Cortland Sutton, the man
Rough week, man.
My dude,
Rough
Cortland
week.
Sutton. Some names here like Laporta, Dallas Goedert, Mason Taylor was a great streaming option based on matchup. Harold Fannin, no Njoku, so you were kind of in on him. George Kittle, Travis Kelce, these are guys you all started, and you were left, wanting more.
Yeah, Cole Kmet got hurt, and he was a dud this week, so it's something to keep a monitor on for Colston Loveland going forward. If Cole Kmet's not out there, that just opens up more targets for him, hopefully. So just keep an eye on that. See if Cole Kmet's not playing, and then Loveland can become like a flexible tight end option.
Yeah, maybe, because who knows what the Bears
Well, that's what I mean, maybe, but it's something to keep an eye on for sure. He was a top 10 pick.
He was. AJ Barner, are we done with him now? Is the moment lapsed where AJ Barner can just be living on the waiver wire forever?
I wouldn't say forever. I still think he's streamable if you need a guy, because week 1 he did the same exact thing. Week 1 he only had a catch for 0 yards. This week he had a catch for 7. He's really touchdown dependent. I get last week he had 3 for 71, so it was his best game without a touchdown. But I still think he's a touchdown option for Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold really struggled in this game. If Sam Darnold's out there throwing the ball like he was the last couple weeks, Darnold could still get into the end zone. He's fully touchdown dependent, though. That's the only upside he has.
It doesn't worry you that Elijah Arroyo had a season high in targets?
Not necessarily right now. If it happens again, maybe next week and then keeps happening, then. But after 1 week, I'm not too worried. I still think Barner could be played for a touchdown if you need a tight end. There's a lot of buys, man. There's a lot of buys this week. What would you rather? Would you rather start Arroyo or Barner if you had to start one of them? Well, jokes on us. They have a buy. They're one of the teams with a buy. Yes. So
neither then. But on the spot next week, I would say Barner just touchdown upside. Arroyo hasn't gotten in the end zone yet, but
I agree.
I do think that could be a situation where Elijah Arroyo now
it could switch.
It's more involved as a receiver. I think they'll both be on the field, but I think it hurts Cooper Kupp more than it would AJ Barner.
I agree. I think their next game's Washington after the bye. I would start Barner if I had to play one of them. And then if Arroyo outcatches him and outsnaps him in Washington's game, that's when I would make the switch if I had to play one of them.
All right. Anything else before we move on to Thursday Night Football?
I don't think so, man. I think we're good.
All right. Thursday Night Football. Before we get into that, let's shout out our other affiliates. W Energy, the OG affiliate of the Drafted Up podcast. I brought up last week that they were in talks and ready to release their new anime collab, and that came out recently, and it is Chainsaw Man. I know nothing about it. He's got a cool little shtick. I saw him. He's got a little chainsaw head and a chainsaw arm. Yeah, he's nifty looking. But he's got his own W Energy flavor. It is the blood orange, the Chainsaw Man blood orange flavor. How appropriate, blood chainsaw. So if you want to get in on that with the collab with Chainsaw Man, they have a blood orange flavor. That's over at W Energy. It's good, clean energy, no artificial dyes, no sweeteners, none of that stuff. They use a coffee extract, no jitters, good, clean energy. Use the code Drafted Up for a nice 10% discount. Anytime you use it, that's good for your first, second, 22nd, 51st purchase. That's good to go. They don't have just blood orange. They have a ton of other flavors. So if blood orange isn't your shtick, go check them out. They also dropped 2 new non-caffeinated flavors in Grandma's Lemonade and a grapefruit citrus. So if caffeine's not your thing, they do have hydration line if you want to spice up your water. So check them out over at W Energy. Be better. Eat that dub with W Energy. They have an app. Search Dubby in your app store, DUBBY, or go to their site, dubby.gg. Drafted Up as the code for a nice 10% discount.
Thursday night?
Yeah. The Minnesota Vikings are 3-3, and they travel to Los Angeles to take on the 4-3 Chargers. The Chargers are 3-point home favorites. The over-under is set at 44.5. We already brought up Carson Wentz as the quarterback.
Yes,
so I don't get my dream of seeing Max Brosmer in primetime.
Not yet, buddy.
Maybe. Carson Wentz could get hurt. Max Brosmer has been announced as the backup quarterback. J.J. McCarthy is the emergency quarterback. Kevin O'Connell said if this wasn't a short week that McCarthy might have been able to play. I don't know. It does worry me that. Why didn't we put him
How worried are you with that guy's health just going forward?
I'm not overly worried because when they announced the injury, the reports came out immediately like that it is way more serious than people are led to believe. I don't know why they just didn't put him on IR and just let him sit the 4 weeks. It did make sense to keep him on the roster. They should have just put him IR, but they did designate Aaron Jones to return, so he might play this week. If he is out there, I'm not worried. I would still play Jordan Mason. I'm not taking Jordan Mason out of my lineup with Aaron Jones first game back. I guess you could start Aaron Jones. I wouldn't. I would give it a week to see if he's out there. Yeah. For Minnesota's easy. It's Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. And Jordan Mason. That's it. I'm not starting TJ Hawkinson, even though he should have had a touchdown on Sunday.
You're not buying in? Best game of the
It
season last
was,
week.
and like a ton of teams have bye weeks. I would start Hawkinson if I was in a pin. Like I would
In a pinch, yeah.
like if like I would look at the waiver wire and like my best options were Hunter Henry, Mason Taylor. I would start TJ Hawkinson over all those guys. So Hawkinson's a fine play, but you got to cap upside sometimes. He disappears from the offense. But Addison and Jefferson hasn't been spectacular, but he's still Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison's been really good with Carson Wentz, and Jordan Mason has been competent as a starting running back. The Chargers, I'm not starting Kamani Vidal. It's tough to run on the Vikings. I think Justin Herbert's a good play. I would be putting him in my lineup, and I would probably play all three of the Chargers receivers. Not Aranda Gadsden. Minnesota's been really good against tight ends this year, so he's just stash on my bench and see if this volume continues.
The Gadsden thing's rough, man, because teams are going to go out there and they're going to spend a bunch of waiver money on him. Most likely he was a tight end 1 on the whole week. He's a young, flashy rookie in a high-powered offense. People are going to want to start Gadsden.
Same game. Would you start Hawkinson or Gadsden?
I'd start Hawkinson.
I would also start Hawkinson.
I think this game's going to be close, and that's when Hawkinson seems to be involved with Carson Wentz. The Philly game was close. It was a shootout. Hawkinson was involved. He saw 9 targets.
Three of the 4 games Wentz had played had been close. And the other one was the Bengals, where the defense just blew them out, and Carson Wentz
blew them out. Exactly. So you can kind of coast.
Cleveland game was close. Pittsburgh game was close. Philadelphia game was close. Like Minnesota, Carson Wentz is a competent quarterback. He's not someone I want starting every game, but he is a fine. He keep the offense afloat until your starter gets back out there.
Yeah, and the Chargers they're playing banged up, so it's going to be a close game again. Like Minnesota always plays close football. That's just how Kevin O'Connell runs, and I get it. It's fine. It's clean, smart football. Mm-hmm. I think Hawkinson's going to be more involved than Gadsden because I think even if the Chargers get up a little bit, they're not going to be dinking and dunking to Gadsden. They're going to be trying to run screens to Laddie, to Quentin Johnson.
I think this is I think this is a big Quentin Johnston game. I
like all 3 of the receivers on the LA side. I love your 2 receivers.
And that's huge. That's huge's game. So I think he's my favorite play from the Chargers. And the receivers in this game, lock them in. Jefferson, Addison, Johnston, Ladd, Keenan Allen. Hawkinson's a fine play. I'd play him over Gadsden. Jordan Mason's the only running back worth playing in this matchup. And then Justin Herbert's the only quarterback worth playing.
If a team with like Darren Waller goes out and they have to dump a decent amount of fab on Gadsden and he's their only tight end, I'm still cool putting him in there. If you want to take the bullet.
Shoot for the upside, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to bite the bullet on just 1 week, it's a rough matchup. I get it. But going forward, he should be on your team, even if it's Darren Waller or you have George Kittle. Go out there and get Gadsden as a backup option. It's going to be rough this week. It's not going to be fun, but he could have a lucky touchdown versus Minnesota, and then you're happy. And then going forward, I think you're going to have a lot of good performances. They're just not going to be consistently good every week.
I agree. A lot of mouths to feed in LA.
A lot of mouths. Yeah.
They're like we said, there's going to be games where Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey and Aranda Gadsden blow up and Quentin Johnston's and Kamani Vidal are of no use. And then there's going to be times where it's Quentin Johnston has 2 deep touchdowns and the other guys just kind of have mediocre volume. So you cool with Herbert? Like you think he's a top 12 play this week against Minnesota? Jalen Hurts just ripped this team apart. Aaron Rodgers had a nice game against them.
Yeah, I'm cool. I usually not thrilled about my quarterback going on a Thursday, but Herbert, you could lock Herbert in for sure.
Yeah,
near a top 12 option this week.
Yeah, especially at the 420 yards and 6 teams on a bye. One of them's the Rams, so Matt Stafford's been viable. Who else is on a bye this week?
I do not know the bye weeks. I know they're.
Yeah,
I know they're crazy this week.
They're gone, and the only one I remember is the Rams.
I don't have a good option to check bye weeks without Googling it. There's like Sleeper doesn't advertise bye weeks. ESPN app doesn't show you who's on a bye, so I'm usually going blind into bye weeks.
Yeah. Cardinals, Jags, Lions, Raiders, Rams, Seahawks. So. Some good options there, like Sam Darnold might be your quarterback, or he's in your rotation with Herbert. Obviously, you'll play Herbert. But really the only ones there that are pretty well in your lineups are Stafford and Jared Goff. So both have been, like, Stafford lately has been teetering around top 5. So I think Herbert, there's a good shot he's also in there, just based off the fact that I think the Chargers are going to have to pass the ball a ton to win this game because you can't run on Minnesota.
Yeah, and with Haskins being out, it's just Vidal for the most part. I don't think they're going to have much of a run game in general, to be honest. So I think it's going to be on the back of Herbert. And that's why I'm kind of fine with Gadsden as like a bite the bullet kind of thing, because like they're going to be passing a bunch in this game, and that's how they're going to have to win.
Mm-hmm. All right. Who goes out, wins Thursday night, Minnesota or the Chargers?
I'm gonna go with the Chargers on this one. Sorry, my guy, but I think they pull it off.
Apologize to me.
Don't apologize to me. It is what it is. But no, I think they pull it off. But it's gonna be close, man. It's just gonna be like the Philly game. It's going to be close.
Yeah, I also think the Chargers win, and I'm just going to go with the team with the better quarterback. I think in a shootout, I'm going to trust Justin Herbert to beat Carson Wentz.
Yeah. And mostly I would try to, like, there's not many coaches that are like better than Kevin O'Connell. I'll hype Kevin O'Connell up forever. Harbaugh was one of those guys in the same bucket as Kevin O'Connell. So it's not even like you guys have a huge coaching advantage, because you usually do. You guys usually go into most games with a coaching advantage. Harbaugh's right there in that same bucket. He's one of the best in the biz.
For Minnesota to win this game, they have to go up early and then eat the clock and just pound the rock. But that's not Minnesota's shtick. Like, Kevin O'Connell doesn't get, double-digit leads very often. So
yeah,
I'm gonna go with the Chargers here. The passing offense should feast on the Minnesota secondary.
For sure.
There you go. That's Thursday Night Football. Chargers, Vikings, and anything else before we duck on out?
Nah, I don't think so, dog. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. We'll see you guys I'll see you guys tomorrow. I will do a nice little college after dark romantic type thing that we did a few weeks ago. And
make sure you badmouth Carson Beck for me on this podcast. Fuck that guy.
I will gladly.
Fuck that performance. Oh my God.
I will gladly badmouth Carson Beck. You don't have to tell me
Thank
twice.
You. Thank you.
So yeah, in the comments, put in anybody you want me to talk about or any college games you want me to touch base on that you're either looking forward to or that happened last week, your game ball, stuff like that, or prospects you're interested in. Throw those in the comments. I'll do my best to kind of watch some of them. I had a little downtime at work today. Got to watch couple players, so that was nice. And I'll see you tomorrow. Nick will see you Thursday or Friday we're recording
Vikings play.
Yeah, so I will also see you Friday, and we'll go over our plays of the week and then run through the week 8 matchup. So you can even put the comments who you guys like this week fantasy wise, or any questions, sit starts that you're having. You can throw those in there. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. That's Nick. I'm Theo. This is the Drafted Up Podcast. Like, rate, subscribe, review, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you watch or listen to your podcast. We're there. We appreciate the support. We will see you guys later.
Bye.